Okay, so this is my final project. I use data that I found on Kaggle about student lifestyle. Basically, it just has to do with students and how long they spend on different activities per day. So we have student ID, which is student identification number of hours per day they spend studying, number of hours they spend per day on extracurriculars, hours per day they sleep, social hours per day, physical activity hours per day, their GPA, and then they have their stress levels, either low, moderate, or high. So there's a lot of numerical data in this data set, which was a little bit difficult to work with because a lot of the columns just did not relate to each other as much as I thought they would. So we've kind of focused on this in this dashboard on the stress level. So we click on this lady, she's happy. And this is the low stress level dashboard. We click on moderate, and you see it all changes to moderate stress level. And there's the high stress level. So I'll go through this piece by piece. This is the chart of, depending on the different stress levels, the GPA and study hours. So in this data, what I found was that GPA, study hours, and sleep hours were the only variables with kind of high correlation. So in this chart, you can kind of see, oh, I added that visualization in the tooltip. Um, but in a low stress, we have um, an okay GPA, but it's not on the higher end, and low study hours. Where moderate stress, you see you have a higher stress level or a higher level of study hours. And you can tell that because of the heat in this graph. And then a high level of stress correlates to mostly average high study hours, but also higher GPAs. But it is all over the place. And I kind of added this visualization just to give it a little bit more. So you can see here, oh, well, what's their activity or their sleep like? Even up here, their sleep is 8 hours and they have 2 hours of physical activity. So that's kind of interesting. And if you kind of go down, we see now there's in this area, there's moderate and high stress levels at kind of a moderate amount of studying hours. And then down here, see now here's some more low stress, the low studying hours. And they're getting good sleep and a little bit better activity, physical activity. Well, it's kind of interesting the way different students might interpret activity because if we look at activity, which we'll get to this graph in a second, but I think the highest physical activity was, yeah, 13 hours per day. So this graph changes as well with this, and it just explores every data, every point of data we have. And this summarizes it. So you can click on the metric you want to see in the chart. We'll click on extracurricular activities per day. And you can see that most students have 1.6 hours of extracurricular um, per day. Most students have about the 4.3 physical activity hours per day. Sleep hours per day, most students only have 5.4. Social hours per day, most people only have 0.3. Study hours per day, most people have 6.3. And GPA, most people have the 3.11 GPA, which is just summarizing all of the data in this little caption here. But the colors is what is telling us about the stress. So you go to a low stress, you can kind of see the GPA is on the lower side, and extracurricular activities all over the place, physical activity all over the place, sleep, there's none in the lower. It's It's kind of on the higher end. Social hours all over the place. Study hours, it is the bulk of the lower study hours. So that's a huge role in the stress. And then, yeah, we already looked at GPA. So if we look at moderate stress, we have a pretty, even GPA. Study hours should look about the same, kind of in the middle. Social hours all over the place, sleep hours. Um, my computer's going slow. Sleep hours, kind of in the middle, somewhat in the higher. Physical activity, kind of all over, and extracurriculars all over. So we get in the high stress. They do have a lot of extracurriculars here. The rest of it should kind of be all over, except for sleep hours. That's the bulk of the low sleep hours. Social hours all over the place, although it does seem kind of high for that as well. And study hours, a big chunk of this as well. High study hours, and it should reflect a higher GPA. And this is kind of like a scorecard I created. Most of this dashboard had to deal with like calculated fields, but this is just depending on the stress level, the average numbers per day we spend doing these things. So at a high level, you can see studying hours per day is eight, about eight at the high stress level. At a low stress level, it's closer to five. Moderate should be in the middle. Yeah. And it's not a huge data set, so this kind of covers it all. I wanted to make it even more interactive, but I didn't want to make it too messy. But it was very interesting and fun, and I'm glad I got to use all of my Tableau skills for this project. So, yeah, thank you for watching.